Well, hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Mani Usabata. Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Concept. Tonight, lawyers call to question the legality or otherwise of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagben's decision to suspend 4 members of Parliament over their alleged involvement in last Thursday's chaos in Parliament. We interrogate the issues tonight and also hear the opinion of the first Deputy Speaker and Chair of the Appointments Committee on this matter. In a related matter, the minority caucus in Parliament, they've also rejected the Speaker's decision to suspend the 4 members of Parliament, insisting it is in excess of the Speaker's powers. Stay with us. We have a conversation on this matter tonight. And we also, here on Ghana Tonight, will delve into some of the controversies surrounding the ongoing ministerial nominee vetting in Parliament. Earlier today, I sat with the chair of the Appointments Committee, also the first Deputy Speaker of this 9th Parliament and Member of Parliament for the Akachi South constituency, the Honorable Bernard Ahianfo. I sat with him exclusively here on TV3 earlier. And for those of you who watched it on TV3 earlier today, live, we're going to play portions of that exclusive interview that I had with him. We'll generate conversations on the back of some of the issues that he responded to the questions that I put to him here on Ghana Tonight. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
The first Deputy Speaker of Parliament and Chairman of the Appointment Committee, Bernard Ahianfo, has expressed dissatisfaction over the conduct of some members of the committee during the ongoing ministerial vetting. He says, to some extent, he feels disrespected by the manner in which the vetting process has unfolded so far.
I indicated that in every society, some are morally righteous, others are contrary. By the virtue of the position that I am occupying, certain things should be welcome. To some extent.
To some extent?
Yes.
You feel disrespected?
I feel so disrespected. Because I have adopted a tolerance approach in order to get the nominees vetted.
The special committee set up by the Speaker of Parliament to investigate the chaos that took place on Thursday, February 30th in Parliament has assured that its work will not be to witch hunt any member of Parliament. Chairman of the committee, Emmanuel Bedra, has requested lawmakers to be cooperative, saying that they will work within the mandate given by the Speaker.
We are to conduct a full-scale investigation into the event of Thursday, 30th January, and the morning of 31st January. 2, identify all members involved in the disorder and submit a report with findings and recommendations. To do this, the committee wishes to announce that we have decided to hold a public hearing of all the issues starting from Wednesday, here in Parliament House at 10 a.m. prompt. We shall expect members of Parliament, the media, the guests who were present at the vetting room, as well as members of the general public, to voluntarily appear to assist the committee with the relevant information on the incident.
The minority in Parliament has rejected the suspension of 3 members of Parliament in their caucus, describing the move as contrary to law, harsh and one capable of undermining the will of the Ghanaian people. Leader Alexander Fionmakin says the Speaker of Parliament acted in bad faith by not giving fair hearing to the lawmakers affected.
The chair of the committee did not communicate anything to the Speaker. Neither did the Speaker invite any of us in leadership for any discussion. As a responsible caucus, we are going to ferry our concerns in a memo to his office. And we believe that that would even form the basis for the discussion. We believe that the right thing to do is to grant these affected members hearing.
The acting Director General of the Ghana Health Service says the service is ready to take cholera and meningitis education to schools and other public places to sensitize the public. Professor Samuel Kaba, who visited the central region to get first-hand information on the outbreak, said the health professionals are up to task in dealing with the menace.
This is the time we have to collaborate. This is the time we have to, and we must, partner each other. Spread the word. We are going to take this campaign to schools, to the market centers, to all parts of the country. We'll be giving a national update on the situation of cholera and meningitis. We will make sure that this situation should not repeat and becomes like part of our life, that every year we have to come here because of cholera.
The Ghana Police Service has confirmed the arrest of Ignatius Bafo Ewa, the owner of Nswatreman FC, in connection with the tragic death of an Asante Kotoko supporter during the match between the two clubs on February 2nd, 2025 in Nswatre. Bafo Ewa, a former member of parliament for Sunyani West and ex-minister of state, was apprehended alongside two other individuals, Ajemanduya Owusu and Treme Joseph, to assist with ongoing investigations.
As more news on 3news.com, make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, we delve into some of the controversy surrounding the ongoing ministerial nominees vetting in Parliament, and we've been getting into various aspects of it here on TV3. And just for those of you who missed that exclusive interview that I had with the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who is also the chair of this Appointments Committee of Parliament and a member of Parliament for the Akachi South constituency, Bernard Ahiafo, he made a number of comments regarding how things have played out in the sittings of the Appointments Committee over the period. A number of you have had cause to question his style of leadership as chair as being weak and one that he has allowed himself to be disrespected. Well, he holds a different view. He's indicated why he appears excessively tolerant as chair of this particular committee, and also his opinion about how the minority has conducted itself on this committee. I'm going to take a listen specifically to that question that I posed to him about the work of the committee and his excessively tolerant posture that some say is working against him to be seen as a weak man. Do you feel disrespected?
Well, I indicated that in every society, some are morally righteous, others are contrary. By the virtue of the position that I am occupying, certain things should be welcome.
But do you feel disrespected sometimes?
Well, to some extent.
To some extent?
Yes.
You feel disrespected?
I feel so disrespected. Because I have adopted a tolerance approach in order to get the nominees vetted. Because where I am sitting, I have sense from my opponent that they may want to be disruptive of the vetting. It happens on one occasion when the members of the minority were all asked to put the microphone on. And when all the microphone is on, your microphone will not work. The nominee's microphone will not work. That is a bit disruptive. I wouldn't want what even happened, the unfortunate incidents that happened at the vetting committee to happen. So I have this tolerance posture to be able to tolerate them and at the same time get the work done. So I've always resisted the temptation of the chairperson being called upon to go and fight in his father's farm. I am a member of the NDC. I am NDC MP. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who is nominating members of the NDC to various ministries, is our father. So if the nominee is before us and I'm being invited to engage in a fight, knowing very well that that particular fight will destroy my father's crop, why do I have to engage in that particular fight? I would want people to look at Bernard Ahiafo in the circumstances of that nature as a timorous person, as a weak person who is not ready to fight when they are extending a fight to him in order to save my father's crop rather than agreeing to go and fight in my father's farm in order to destroy the crop. So if you look at it in a very unprecedented manner, continuously we vetted successfully till the end of the nominees that we have. And in less than 2 weeks, we are able to vet over 40 nominees, which is a remarkable achievement. So if somebody said, Bernard Ahiafo, you are weak, and in a very unprecedented manner, less than 2 weeks, you've done the over 40 nominees. At the end of the day, what am I looking for? What I'm looking for is to get the people successfully vetted and probably the report taken unanimously by the agreement of the entire committee, which so far, as I stand here, the over 30 people that we have vetted, no one was by a majority decision. It is all by a consensus, unanimity. And Parliament has also approved them by a consensus. And I think that should be my greatest achievement, irrespective of how people look at me.
Well, since
the result.
That's the first Deputy Speaker there. That's the first Deputy Speaker there, Bernard Ahiafo, said. You heard me speak to him in that exclusive interview, which was aired at about 3 p.m. Earlier today, exclusive here on TV3. Now, let's build a conversation on the back of some of the issues that he raised. Dr. Jonathan Asantioche is a political analyst. He's a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Is joining us on Zoom. Dr. Asantioche, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, Alfred.
Do you share in that concern as well that Bernard Ahiafo, he did concede that, yes, he feels disrespected sometimes by the minority on the appointments committee? You get that sense as well?
Yeah, certainly. You see that every now and then, Mr. Afeni-Markins will want to get under his skin. The ranking member sometimes behaves as if he's the one in charge of the committee. But it appears like the vetting committee itself, when you are the chair, it's as if you have your hands in the mouth of the minority leader or the ranking member, so to speak. And so I've said time without number that anyone who compares a style of vetting or chairing the vetting processes with that of Joe Wise, you will get it wrong. He also doesn't want to appear like a majority that bullies the minority. They can do that, and you cannot do anything. It is part of the parliamentary processes and the standing order, so to speak. But you see, I feel that what he's saying is a truism, not a falsity. I've said that you have to be a little patient and careful. To go all out using the parliamentary, standing orders will mean you are going to stifle the minority. And you know very well that it is the minority that is also critical of the president nominee. And it is only they who can or who are predisposed to asking very critical questions of the nominee, especially those who are in the limelight, who have been in the political limelight, those who have made pronouncements that have indicted the previous or the erstwhile government. Therefore, they want to settle scores.
Right.
Now, yeah.
Okay. Now, I just conclude on that point, and I want us to move on to...
Yeah. So you need to understand that the minority came to the vetting committee with a strategy. And there are three. One, to find a way of discrediting some of these political targets. Two, to cleanse or to clean the image of President Akufo-Addo. And three, to elicit information from these nominees that will lead to either confessions or apologies or withdrawals. Now, in the final analysis, when they're able to get this kind of concessions, these three categories that I've mentioned, then they will latch on that as part of their political campaign come the 2028. Because if you listen to the press conference that he led, in the final statement that he made reference to 2028. So you must bear in mind that they have a strategy led by Mr. Afenyamakins.
See. Now, one other issue that has become quite topical is that convention that Bernard Ahiafo himself referenced last week when Nelson Robson Dafiamepo, the majority whip, drew his attention to why he had allowed the minority leader, who is the ranking on this committee, to ask so many questions and are taking so much time. He referenced a convention that the ranking has unlimited number of questions and also unlimited number of time, amount of time, I beg your pardon, to ask as many questions as he wants. Well, I asked him whether it's about time, in his view as chair, that convention be reviewed because of what we have seen with Alexander Afenyamakins asking questions over 3 hours, in the case of that's Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, and then over 2 hours in the case of Sam George. And this is what he had to say to that answer, and I'll come to you on it. But this is what Bernard Ahiafo said. And maybe finally, before we go, if you look at the current convention that you make reference to, that allows the ranking on the committee, the minority leader, to have unlimited number of questions over an unlimited number of hours. Should it stay or be reviewed?
No, on one, you see, I believe in the principle of Edmond Montesquieu, who propounded the theory of separation of powers. At a point, he came out to say that every man invested with power is liable to abuse it. Therefore, there should be checks and balances. Probably, at the time that this particular rule was propounded, this practice and convention was propounded, it was based on the reasonability of the ranking members of the committee. But now that we realize that that rule is being abused, we need to take a second look at it and place a ban on either the number of questions that you have to ask or the number of hours that within which you have to operate. I believe when we do it that way, some frivolous questions wouldn't have been asked. You go straight to the policy issues to test the knowledge of the nominee on the policies relating to the designated ministry. You will not spend so much time on the CV of the nominee. You won't spend so much time on a task clearance of the nominee when you have a task clearance certificate before you. You won't spend so much time in knowing where the nominee lives and whether it is a rented premises or it is his own house. So I believe that when an upper ceiling is set in terms of hours or a number of questions, it will go a long way to promote the smooth vetting of the appointment committee. Because so I'm of the view that there should be a ceiling on me as the chairman and then a ceiling on the ranking member.
As a minority leader?
Yeah, minority leader.
Because that's one of the objectives that the Speaker has outlined for this committee's work, to recommend a review of the rules. And this is one that you want to review.
So that goes a long way to support the fact that it is an existing practice that I have come to meet.
So it's not your fault?
Why would it be my fault if that is the existing practice that I have come to meet? unless it is reviewed. It becomes the practice, and the practice must continue.
With some reasonability.
Yes, with some reasonability. Because in everything you do, you need to be reasonable. So now that we have seen how that particular practice and convention can be abused in order to forestall any future abuse of unlimited questions being asked by the minority leader.
Well, that's another here for that. And Dr. Santosh, so you agree with that call that it's about time that that convention be reviewed, that convention of Alexander Penyamakin having unlimited time to ask unlimited number of questions because of how things have played out now?
Well, of course, if you have been following my views on this particular issue, it is not only ridiculous, it is equally ludicrous that you will have a ranking member, and it shouldn't be limited to Mr. Afenyamakins. In the near future, nothing of that sort should happen. Nobody should entertain that because it leads to boredom. And as he rightly pointed out, how would you be spending time on, some typo errors in someone's CV and all those things? My goodness. All these things are there, and yet the appointer nominated that particular person. Focus on policy direction, policy initiative, policy results, of course. But you see that in itself, that's what I told you, every minority has a strategy. Those things in itself, knowing very well that those are the strengths of the nominee, they wouldn't focus on that. So Mr. Bernard Ahiafo should get into his mind that they have a mission and a purpose, and that is not in sync with theirs. And so it is important that if they are supposed to continue with this vetting, they must have a pre-vetting meeting.
I'll do the opinion on the clerk.
They will have a pre-vetting meeting to ensure that these things are ironed out, so that nobody goes to the vetting committee meeting in a grand style trying to upstage the other. And that in itself will limit the way and manner Mr. Afenyamakins, just mention his name as an example, the way a manner will be asking questions. Don't also forget that even the other members of the committee, they say you have 3 questions. But within those 3 questions, if there are follow-ups, you are allowed to do so. All these things will obviously contribute in the time consumption, as we are talking about. So I agree with whatever he's saying. If it is a convention, it is news to me because I never saw anything like that happen when Mr. Joe Wise was there in the chair. I understand, I appreciate where he talks about the tolerance. I think that's the issue we spoke about earlier on. This tolerance thing is a weapon. It is, in fact, one of the most powerful weapons of Mr. Ahiafo, in the sense that, you see, he allows a ranking member to do his own things. At the end of the day, you see the backlash. The backlash is that people may not really focus on other good questions that a ranking member would have asked anyway.
Right.
They are now rather focusing on some of the ridiculous questions that they asked, the repetitiousness of those questions as well. So you would have seen that the actual, real deal questions that you would have asked would have been lost on viewers and listeners.
I do appreciate your analysis of this, and this is a conversation that will continue. I appreciate you, as always, for joining us here, and I know you'll stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Dr. Jonathan Asantiotre is a political analyst and a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Political Science Department, joining us there. But then that point he makes leads us to the next issue. You recall that the Speaker on Friday outlined a number of emergency measures as a result of what happened on Thursday night, that chaos that has brought the disgrace to Parliament and indeed the blot on the Appointments Committee's work. He talked about a 7-member committee that was going to be set up to investigate and submit their findings within a 10-day period. Well, today, this committee has been established. They addressed the press. Emmanuel Bajira, who is the chair of this the 7-member committee investigating this, they've indicated what they're going to be doing. They're going to put out a website, an email address, and a phone number so that the members of the general public can also submit videos to them to help and aid in their investigations as well. They're going to be conducting some hearings too. And the clerk to Parliament is to assess the damage, and the MPs responsible will bear all the cost. Well, the videos tell a story as to exactly what led to the destruction to the microphones that we saw on the screen, plus the table as well. It is the work of this committee to determine which MPs should be held responsible for those damages that we saw. The clerk to Parliament has also been directed to file a complaint with the Ghana Police Service. We're monitoring to get information whether that has been done already, plus the committee of selection. And guess what? Based on this recommendation, is supposed to restructure the committee and revise the rules for nominee assessment. And this is where Bernard Ahiafo's point comes in. The Speaker himself has realized that there has to be a revision of the rules for the vetting of the nominees. So this whole convention of the ranking member having unlimited time to ask as many questions as he wills, the Speaker says it's about time that's reviewed. So we'll see what happens in the coming days on this. But on the matter of the clerk to the appointments committee, the minority in Parliament say that they don't want her on the appointments committee as a clerk again. They want her changed or sacked. Until then, they've taken a decision on their participation in the appointment committee's work. Alexander Penyomakin addressed the press on this matter earlier today. Take a look. Bring that Alexander Penyomakin's address to the press on this particular issue of the clerk to Parliament. You recall that on Friday, before the appointments committee sat, we saw on television the minority leader, together with the members of the minority on this appointments committee, raining some unprintable words on this appointments committee clerk, calling her partisan, shame on her, and so on, which a number of you members, general public, obviously did not take too kindly with the minority. But this is what Penyomakin said, reason why they did what they did. Take a look.
The chair of the committee did not communicate anything to the Speaker. Neither did the Speaker invite any of us in leadership for any discussion. As a responsible caucus, we are going to ferry our concerns in a memo to its office. And we believe that that would even form the basis for the discussion. We believe that the right thing to do is to grant these affected members hearing. We have also taken the matter up. We have escalated the matter to our party level. But we want to say this with emphasis. This mighty few, this happy few, will not allow itself to be intimidated. The clerk to the committee is a partisan clerk. She is not a neutral professional clerk. She's caused us a lot of discomfort. We've tolerated, accommodated her. At this point, it's getting out of hand. She advertises at midnight. As a minority leader, I am to know those to be vetted the next day ahead of time. He doesn't share that with us. A lot of times I had to manage the pain, the frustration of my members. For now, we don't want the clerk on the appointment committee again. We went to court the last time because all doors for engagement were shut. On this occasion, the doors of engagement have not been shut yet. We are going to engage, Mr. Speaker. We want to give reverence to his.
So that's a Penyomakin there on that position that the minority has taken on the clerk to this appointments committee. And he's repeated that same position, that she's partisan and that they don't really want to work with her. Well, I put this concern to Bernard Ahiafo, who is the chair of this committee and the first deputy speaker, as to whether he agrees with the minority's position on the clerk to the appointments committee. Because you recall, in an interview, Alexander Penyawakin had indicated that Bernard Ahiafo himself had at some point had issues with the work of the clerk. And so he's also concerned. But this is what he had to say on this.
I've listened to the debate.
But you were seated at the appointments committee sitting the next day, that was a Friday.
Yes.
When the minority leader, together with the members of the minority on the appointments committee, rained some unprintable words on the clerk to the committee, calling her partisan, shame on her, they don't need her, and all the other words that they use. You were seated there, but you didn't do anything about that.
Well,
why?
Thank you very much. It was not only Friday. I think Thursday, the same thing happened. And after the incidents, I had a word with minority leader. The minority leader, I feel you are too harsh on the clerk. She doesn't deserve that. There is nothing that the clerk has done that was not authorized. Your allegation that you are not seeing the draft report is unfounded. Because you and I will be sitting down there, the draft report will be given to us. Then I will hand over your copy to you personally, or the clerk will place it before you. Mm-hmm. And because I have a copy, I normally engage Mahama Shaibu to go through the report. He's also a member of the committee. Right. Before I would even go through it. And it is expected that after going through it, if you have reservation about some aspect of the report, you raise it with me. Then I take it up with the clerk.
Right.
But when you don't have any reservation about the report, the clerk, after some time, will go ahead and print the report for me to sign. And copies will be made by members. That is the practice that I know. For instance, when one report was ready, and he came to say that they want to do it by majority, mm-hmm. though the draft report that came stated consensus, because at the time, stated consensus, at the time, because at the time that we vetted the nominee, the decision, the atmosphere was by consensus. But when he came to say he wants that particular report to be a majority report, after reading through the report, I reverted to the clerk that the position has changed. It's rather going to be a majority report instead of consensus, instead of unanimity. Right. So the clerk has done exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And you know, Parliament is a place that allows dialogue. Mm-hmm. We reach out to each other all the time. So after reaching out, we've now agreed to then take the report by consensus.
Right.
Subject to a text which he, minority leader, sent to me, mm-hmm. and I still have it on my phone, to be included in the report.
He sent you a text message?
Yes, a text message indicating that they had agreed that if the nominee mm-hmm. can accept to go by these words in form of showing remorse, then...
Which nominee exactly?
The nominee in question is Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi. Then the majority reports will change to be a consensus report. So you realize that when I was even taking that particular report, I need to announce that the earlier report given
was a
majority decision, but after Jojo,
it's been
a consensus report.
Yeah.
So the text that he had given me, I consulted the nominee, and the nominee is agreeable to it. I consulted the leader of the House, majority leader, and majority leader said that he was aware about the text, and that text, actually, he has read through it, so it is okay. Then we integrated that particular text into the report. His own words, without any change. Then we laid the report. Then at the time of taking the report, he was not even at the chamber. So after moving the motion and presenting the report, Honorable Patrick Yaoboma seconded the report and was contributing to the report. And then he walked in to say that he had not seen
a copy of the report.
He only realized that the report was being taken and that they had agreed on a text which was not in the report. So he interrupted Honorable Patrick Yaoboma. Patrick Yaoboma, being a gentleman and really an honorable person, took it in good faith. Only for him to be shown his own text in the report.
The text that he was saying was not there.
Was not there.
Had been captured in the report.
Had been captured, only for him. So a little bit of patience would have revealed to him that what you wanted to be done is really captured. If he, assuming it is not captured, after reading it, you could have reached out to me. But he didn't reach out to me when a copy was given to him. And he cannot pretend not to have a copy, which captures his own wordings. That satisfies him for the nominee to be taken by consensus. So is that the way we should go? A little bit of patience would have solved problems. Now, regarding patience, I have a cause to even place on record that we need to be patient. Patience is the key. It is out of patience that we'll be able to operate an ant and see the intestine. I said this before the committee. When he launched attack on Honorable Dr. Omani Boama. As a matter of fact, this committee has written to Omani Boama to be vetted at 11 on that fateful day. What happened was that, owing to the changes that he personally made, Omani Boama was going to be vetted at 9 o'clock. So we tasked the clerk to communicate that to Omani Boama before the following day. And according to the clerk, they called him throughout. They were not able to reach out to him. So at a pre-sitting, we said, if such being the case, then let's take another person. I think that was, who was that to be taken?
After Edward Omani Boama, that day, I think it was the transport minister designated.
Yes, the transport. So we can take the transport minister before we come to Edward Omani Boama.
I think this is the special initiative minister designate.
That is Ajekum, Honorable Ajekum. Okay, Honorable Ajekum.
Yes.
So we can take the Honorable Ajekum before taking this. Little did I know that he will come and be reprimanding
the clerk,
the Omani Boama. And then when he did that, Honorable Joyce Bawa Muntari walked over that by the letter that was written, it is 11 o'clock. So what you did was uncalled for. Then I apologized and said that it's just a matter of being patient. This was the issue. So if you had been patient to know why such a thing happened, you won't jump into a hasty conclusion and be blaming the person, only for you to be apologizing. So what he sought to do was to shift the blame onto the clerk.
So you disagree that you disagree that the clerk is partisan?
No, the clerk is never partisan. Partisan in what manner? So what he did to the clerk is rather unfortunate. It is uncalled for. I mean, it is unbecoming of a member of parliament. In parliament, we have hierarchy. If a clerk of a committee is putting up a particular conduct that you are dissatisfied with, the channels are there for you to follow, but not to behave in the full glare of the camera like what he did, is rather unfortunate. Parliament has a clerk of Parliament, and committees has a clerk.
Yes.
The committee's clerk work under the main clerk of Parliament. So if there is something that you are dissatisfied with the performance of a clerk, or you conceived an idea, perceived a clerk to be partisan, or clerk of committee to be partisan, it accords with common sense and reason that you pick it up with the main clerk of the committee, but not to stand in front of cameras and use those words against her. She is a mother, and she has been in this house for 19 good years. She doesn't deserve that. It is uncalled for. So I expect my learned friend, the minority leader, to be apologizing to this particular clerk.
You want Afenyomakin to apologize to the clerk?
Rather than going around to defend this unfortunate incident.
He says in some instances you have even been a bit uncomfortable with the work of the clerk.
If I am a bit uncomfortable, why is my character and tenacity didn't lead me into pronouncing on my anger by using those provocative words?
So that's Bernard Ayanfo there, and his position on the work of the clerk to this appointments committee. But let's just say a bit further on this exclusive interview, the conversation that I had with him. But that's another aspect coming up next year on Ghana Tonight. Lawyers are calling to question the legality or otherwise of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman's decision to suspend 4 members of Parliament over their alleged involvement in last Thursday's chaos in Parliament. We're going to interrogate the issues right now, and because this is another issue that I put to Bernard Ayanfo as well to seek his view. He's a lawyer, and so there are other lawyers who hold a different view from the path that the Speaker has taken on this matter. These are the 4 MPs. We're going to put them on the screen right now. The 4 MPs who are the subject of investigation for this 7-member committee whose work has started today. Nelson Raxida Fiamepo, Majority Chief Whip, MP South Dai, Frank Anodompre, Minority Chief Whip, MP in Suama Drejuri, Al-Hassan Suleiman Atampoli, Gusheil Constituency MP, Ahmed Ibrahim, that's Jerry Ahmed Shaib, Wajak Bawi, Constituency 2nd Deputy Minority Whip. These are the 4. And questions had been raised about the decision by the Speaker to suspend these people, even before hearing them, and that it is a breach of natural justice and a violation of their rights for that matter, because it's now that investigations are going to take place and these people have not been heard, but they have been suspended. Martin Peebles, private legal practitioner, is joining us on Zoom right now. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Kansi.
One of the lawyers who held that view that the Speaker had no authority to take that decision to suspend these 4 MPs. You still stand by that position?
At least so far, I've not been shown strong precedent. So that's how come, and you see how I'm speaking slowly about this matter. That's how come I took the view that once we are not seeing it too clearly, then in that case, let the courts decide. So you see that subsequently, okay, let me start it this way. You know, on Saturday, on the Key Points program, which you host, I took the position that reading the standing orders, the Parliament Act, Act 300, and then the Constitution, I didn't see it so clearly that Mr. Speaker could go ahead, right, and just suspend them. But subsequently, you know, once you take a legal position and the matter is still raging on, you also have to do more research, try to see whether maybe the initial position you took was wrong, etc. So in doing further research, the closest was what the Speaker had used as the justification, which is that the contempt had happened this in his face.
Parliament. Yes.
Meaning that, yes, that's in the face of Parliament, that's to say, Mr. Speaker. So the argument is that even if it happened in a committee of Parliament, it should be considered as on the floor of Parliament, right?
Yes.
And then also, but the catch is that if you read the standing orders, in that case, it should have been the chairman of the committee, that's Mr. Ahiafo, to take the decision. Right. So what I'm saying is that, yes, I've taken time, I'm still following all the arguments, but it's not any clearer than when affairs began. That's it.
Right.
So that's why from the one, when I looked at it, I said, okay, maybe we should let the courts clarify. I know the last time matters affecting Parliament went to the court, weren't happy about how the judiciary treated the Speaker. I'm sure the way we made it very clear that the Speaker deserved more consideration, more respect, because it's a co-equal arm of government, etc. This time, hopefully, they will get those courtesies so that the full arguments can be made on both sides, and then we can see what the courts think. Yes, because otherwise, then also the other thinking too is that because it's just for 2 weeks, by the time you take this matter to court, the 2 weeks would long have elapsed. Or let's say even if you enter court before the end of the 2 weeks, by the time the decision comes, the 2 weeks would long have elapsed.
In fact,
yes, but let's note this, that if you went to court, even if the punishment, the 2 weeks have elapsed, the court will be pronouncing on the validity. So that one, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
Yeah. So,
I see. It's interesting. In fact, expatiating on your position then also gives a certain indication, is it not, that if it was Bernard Ahiafo, then maybe you would agree. So I put this question to him, counsel, whether he agrees with the Speaker's position and the Speaker's decision on this particular 4 MPs, suspending them. He says he agrees with the Speaker's decision. I want you to listen to him and the reference he makes in law backing this position he's taking. Let's take a look.
Okay.
Parliament.
And so the 12 left to make up the 42.
Yeah,
you know.
12 left to make up the 42.
And this includes the 7 or so that just the majority side vetted?
Definitely. Definitely.
There were concerns raised that you didn't have quorum to vet those people when the minority side left the committee sittings.
Well, I always maintain that when a procedure is set down for a right to be exercised, it is that procedure you follow in exercising the right. Our standing order 217 is very clear on the membership of the committee. The membership of the committee, by that legal imperative, is 11 members. And if you talk about quorum of the 11 members, to do business of the committee is 4, and to take a decision is 6. And we were up to 6. So we form quorum to do business, and we form quorum to do a decision. This standing order was based on the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. And if you look at the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, particularly Article 10...
But which law, really? Which law gives the Speaker the powers to suspend these 4 members of Parliament for this number of days? Which specific provision?
Well, I think we have to look at the combined effect of Standing Order 5, 129, 130, there about the combined effect. We give the authority to the Speaker so to do.
To suspend members of Parliament?
Yes.
From attending to the business of the House?
Yes.
Depriving their constituents of representation?
He has that particular power.
He has the power.
Even every member of Parliament can suffer a suspension.
Even before they are head?
If a member of Parliament cannot suffer... You see, the difference is that if the incidents had happened outside Parliament and a report is made to Parliament, the approach would have been different. You go to court, and commit contempt before the court and see whether the court will give you a hearing before making pronouncement on you. That is contempt in facie query.
What's the meaning of that?
Contempt, that is contempt in the presence of the court. You understand?
Yes.
The judge has the authority to go ahead and make pronouncement on you because the incidents happen before the court. So once the incident, that is why if you listen to the recording, he said contempt in facie parliamentary. That is what it means. That is what it means. But people are losing sight over that particular word used by the Speaker of Parliament. And they want to treat it as if somebody has lodged a report where you have to follow the procedure. You refer the matter to Privileges Committee. Privileges Committee will conduct a hearing, bring a report to the House, and a decision will be taken. No. These are two different approaches.
You were
Ex facie parliamentary will be outside Parliament. But in.
Well, so that's Bernard here for them. So, Council, it says the combined effect of Standing Order 5, 29, and 130 indeed gives the power to the Speaker to do this. Suspend them. Their constituents would not have representation even before they are heard. The Speaker can do this based on the combined effect of these standing orders as he referenced.
Great. So, naturally, there are two sides to every coin. And you see the in facie parliamentary he mentioned, as far as I can remember, we've not developed our own jurisprudence on it. So I was talking to somebody as part of listening to all the arguments on it. I mentioned that if we had been shown precedent, or others call it precedent, the word president or precedent, whichever one, meaning an example of this contempt power having been invoked, especially in the other democracies. You know, we have borrowed largely from the UK, even though now it's being said that, and I agree, that we are not operating the Westminster system now. You see, the 1969 Constitution was the Westminster model, right, where we had a prime minister, but today we don't. So arguments are being made that this our parliament is different, etc. I'm still thinking about it. It didn't immediately strike me. The main thing is that this in facie parliamentary, you see, the way lawyers we are trained is that you take that term and then show how it's been practiced in the common law. You see, in our constitution, our laws are the common law, the constitution, etc., the statutes of Ghana. So you have to show that, in another common law country, so UK is still common law, even America is largely common law, Australia, Canada, etc. So you go in there and see how Parliament has ever used it. Then you cite them. That's what I said. That word is precedent, but we are used to calling it precedent, so whichever variation. So you cite the precedent or precedent, and then lawyers can refer and check. So that's what we call the authorities. Then when we check, we're able to make our own informed decision. But the way it's just been invoked, it's not been shown how it has been practiced elsewhere, it becomes difficult to accept. And even if, you see, there's still the last part of it, even if it's been practiced elsewhere, there's still the catch that in our current dispensation,
right,
the common law principles have to be tested to see if they accord with our constitution. So if there's a principle which doesn't accord with our constitution or any other statute in Ghana, we will not use that common law principle. So it's not as if every common law principle from this you find in any common law country automatically is part of Ghana law. No.
Right.
So there are still these technicalities. That's why I said then the best thing for now is perhaps to see if we should go to court.
Right.
But maybe now that we've spoken about this, perhaps Mr. Speaker can bring out those cases that inform the invocation of this principle. Then we'll analyze those cases thoroughly to see whether we are changing our stance or we stand where we are now, which is to say that we don't see the authority for his decision.
Right. Appreciate your time on this matter, and we'll see. Already, both sides have given indication of possibly testing this matter in the court of law, but it's just 8 days, as you indicated. So thank you for your thoughts, and certainly will be one that will be some precedent to be referenced in the future. Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Appreciate you as always. But we're going to go for this quick break. When we're back, stay with us. We'll close the show.
One bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior. You know, bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint, superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
This is Key Points, the #1 award-winning television news analysis program, providing enlightened analysis of the key issues facing us as a country.
The key points of the stories that matter with the people who matter.
This is Key Points, the #1 award-winning television news analysis program. Every Saturday, 7 a.m. on TV3 and on 3FM 92.7. TV3, first in news.
The winner of Talented Kids, Season 15.
The wait is finally over. Talented Kids Season 16 is back and it is set to be the most thrilling season. Prepare to be amazed by the mesmerizing performances that will captivate audiences of all ages. We are calling on all institutions, parents, and individuals who believe in the extraordinary talent of children aged 6 to 12. Our audition train to make its first stop in Kumasi on the 6th of February at the McLean Hotel. Then, we'll make its last stop in Accra on the 8th of February at the TV3 premises. Talented kids, free to play.
Welcome back. Now, before we go, I asked Bernard Ahia for whether he had any indication of the chaos before it happened on Thursday night. And this is what he told me. He eavesdropped on the conversation between Alexander Penyomakin and Jerry Ahmed. This is his word against what Penyomakin has been talking about. Take a look.
Where I am sitting, I can eavesdrop into their conversations.
You eavesdrop into their
Yes.
And what do you hear them saying?
So at the point that they were asking the deputy whip to call members, then I knew something was going to happen, as a result of which they were asking that members should be called in.
So you had a minority leader telling the deputy to call the MPP MPs in.
And at the point, he even railed insults on Jerry Ahmed. But
Penyomakin railed insult on Jerry Ahmed.
Yes, I heard it clearly.
For what?
Well, he called him silly. This is not what I brought you here to come and do. So please, help me do what I asked you to do.
Penyomakin called Jerry Ahmed silly.
He said so. He said so. And any member of the committee who pays attention to them will listen to the insult. And if Jerry Ahmed can be fair to the general public, he would honestly say that he had received insult that fateful day.
The Thursday night?
Yes.
And what was the instruction to him?
Well, the instruction was that he should call members. You know, for Jerry, even going to prevent Akando from taking the seat was on the instruction of the minority leader.
Afenyo instructed Jerry Ahmed to prevent that the health minister designate from taking the oath.
Yes. I heard him loud and clear.
You heard Afenyo Makin give that instruction?
I heard him loud and clear.
You're ready to defend this position?
On one occasion at the vetting, I had a cause to place on record the minority leader, why are you asking your side to put on all the microphones?
It was the same Thursday?
Because I heard him asking them to all of them should put on their microphone. I then asked, why? I've forgotten to even put my microphone on, so it will be captured by the media. And minority leader, why are you asking your side to put on the microphone to disrupt the proceedings? It cannot be for any other reason apart from trying to disrupt the proceedings that you will call on your side to put on the microphone. You see, Ghanaians will look at my demeanor, look at him, and then they can judge.
He believes that the jury is out there on this matter. And that's why I want to say thank you so much for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. The aspects of this conversation I had with him, the analysis and the conversation on the back of it, continues tomorrow on New Day on TV3 and also on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Make a date with the team. On behalf of the rest of the team here on Ghana Tonight, I am Alfred Okanse. Join us same time tomorrow for another conversation. Do have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.